All right, so today we're going to dive deep and decode one of the most famous symbols in the world. But trust me, this is way more than just a story about an old image. It's the story of a prince, a journey that changed everything, and a mind-blowing discovery about why we as humans suffer. So this is the Dharma chakra, or what a lot of people call the Wheel of Dharma. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere before, right? In art, maybe in a history book. But what does it actually mean? Well, to really get it, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the person who first set this wheel turning. And our story starts in a pretty unexpected place. We're not talking about a wise old master on a mountaintop. Nope, we're starting with a young prince who was born into a life of, almost unimaginable wealth and completely cut off from the real world. This prince's name was Siddhartha Gautama. And his father, the king, had heard this prophecy that his son was destined to become a great spiritual leader, not a king. And this terrified him. So what did he do? He basically built a bubble around his son, a world of beautiful palaces, lush gardens, and nonstop pleasure, making absolutely sure that Siddhartha never saw a single ounce of pain or sadness. But, no walls can keep reality out forever. When he was 29, Siddhartha got curious and decided to sneak out of the palace. And in the course of just one day, that perfect little bubble his father had built, it didn't just pop, it shattered. For the very first time in his life, Siddhartha saw the raw, unfiltered truth of what it means to be human. He saw an old, frail man, and it hit him. Youth doesn't last. Then he saw a person suffering from a disease and realized, wow, health isn't a guarantee. And then he saw a dead body, and the shocking final reality of death just smacked him right in the face. These weren't just things he was seeing, they were earth-shattering revelations. But then he saw a fourth sight, a monk, an ascetic, just walking calmly, who seemed to have this deep, unshakable peace, even with all this chaos around him. And that contrast, it sparked this feeling inside him called samvega. It's like a spiritual gut punch. This sudden, urgent need to find an answer to all the suffering he now realized was a part of life. So, with this new fire inside him, the prince did something radical. He left. He left his wife, his newborn son, his palace, his entire future as a king. And this moment, it's known as the Great Renunciation. He wasn't running away from life. He was running straight towards its biggest questions. For 6 long years, Siddhartha pushed himself to the absolute limit. He learned meditation from the best masters around, but that wasn't enough. He practiced extreme self-denial, fasting so hard that he almost died. But all that self-inflicted pain, it just made him weak. It didn't bring him any wisdom. So he had to ask himself, what was he missing? And this is where he has his huge breakthrough. He looked back at his life and saw 2 extremes. On one side, you have total indulgence, the life of luxury in the palace. On the other side, you have this extreme hardship, punishing his own body. He realized neither of those paths held the answer. The truth, he figured, couldn't be on the fringes. It had to be somewhere in the center. And this led him to discover what he called the middle way, which was a totally revolutionary idea. The way forward wasn't about chasing every pleasure or trying to run from all pain. It was about creating balance. It was about training your mind through discipline and moderation. And this was the key that was going to unlock the whole puzzle. So with this new way of thinking, Siddhartha finally ate a proper meal, regained his strength, and sat down under a pipal tree, which we now call the Bodhi tree. He went into a deep meditation and basically told himself, I am not getting up from this spot until I find the answer to suffering. And in that state, he had a profound awakening. He wasn't just Prince Siddhartha anymore. He became the Buddha, which literally means the enlightened one. In that moment of absolute clarity, he saw it all. He finally understood the mechanics of suffering, why we have it, and more importantly, how we can end it. And the way he explained it is brilliant. He laid it out like a doctor's diagnosis. First, the illness. Look, being human means you're gonna experience suffering, or dukkha. Second, the cause. This suffering isn't random. It comes from our cravings and our attachments, or trishna. Third, the prognosis, and this is the good news, there's a cure. It is possible to stop suffering. And finally, the prescription. Here's the exact practical path you need to follow to do it. And that prescription, that super practical, step-by-step guide for walking the middle way and putting an end to suffering, well, That's known as the Noble Eightfold Path. Now think of this less like a list of rules and more like a complete training program. It's broken down into three main sections. You've got wisdom, which is all about learning to see the world as it really is. Then you've got morality, which is about making sure your words and actions are compassionate. And finally, meditation, which is about training your mind to be calm, focused, and present. It's basically a complete toolkit for your own consciousness.
So you've got 8 parts, 8 practices, 8 principles that all work together to help you live a clearer, more purposeful life. So just remember that number, 8.
Because this right here brings us right back to where we started. Take another look at the wheel. See those 8 spokes? They're not just some random design choice. They are the Buddha's core teaching, right there in plain sight. Each spoke is one part of the Noble Eightfold Path. And get this, when the Buddha gave his very first sermon, you know what it was called? Setting in motion the wheel of the Dhamma. He was literally turning this wheel, releasing this incredible, life-changing knowledge out into the world for anyone and everyone to find. So as you can see, the Dharma chakra is so much more than just an ancient symbol. It's a whole story of a prince's awakening. It's a diagnosis of the human condition. And it's a practical guide to living a better life. It's like a map left behind for all of us. And it leaves us with a really important question. What can this ancient wheel of teaching show us about our own lives right here, right now?